What if someone sounds fluent and keeps talking, but the meaning slips away, like a radio station with perfect sound and a broken message? Well, let's dive right into this explainer and explore a truly unique neurological mystery. Imagine the volume on your radio is absolutely perfect. The announcer's voice is totally smooth, the pacing is completely normal, but the actual meaning, it just isn't connecting. It's kind of like listening to an Imagine Dragons or a Maroon 5 song, where you totally vibe with the melody, but suddenly the lyrics sound like complete gibberish. You're hearing it clearly, but the precise message is just gone. So this brings us to a condition known as Wernicke's aphasia. In the simplest possible terms, it's a language disorder that primarily causes difficulties with auditory comprehension. A person's ears hear the physical sounds of speech perfectly fine, but their brain struggles to properly decode what those sounds actually mean. Because of this specific challenge with receiving and decoding information, you'll often hear it called receptive aphasia. The brain is basically struggling to receive and process the exact meaning of the language being spoken. Think of it like having 5 full bars of cell service on your phone. The signal is strong, but the text message still comes through totally garbled. It's an issue with reception, not production. And here is the really surprising part of this condition. When we think of a language disorder, we usually picture someone struggling physically to form words, which is what happens in Broca's aphasia. But Wernicke's is vastly different. Someone with Wernicke's can produce effortless, really rhythmic speech. They might speak as fast and fluently as Eminem drop in a verse. But here is the catch. Despite sounding totally fluent, their understanding and accurate word choice are more seriously affected, so their thoughts come out jumbled, making the actual meaning incredibly difficult to grasp. So why is it so hard to understand? Well, because speakers end up relying on very vague general words. It's kind of like how a character in Peppa Pig or Bluey might confidently declare they are going to do the thing at the place. It totally sounds like a complete sentence, right? But the specific meaning is completely replaced by these sweeping terms that don't actually answer the question. And this brilliantly illustrates that exact paradox, coming directly from a patient trying to express how their communication feels. Listen to this. I can't talk all of the things I do, and part of the part I can go all right, but I can't tell from the other people. You can really feel the normal rhythm there, can't you? The words flow easily, they form grammatical structures, but the precise meaning remains just out of reach. Now, the crucial piece of this puzzle is a symptom called anomia. Anomia is, quite literally, the difficulty in finding the correct word. It's super common in Wernicke's aphasia, and it is exactly what drives that reliance on those vague, mixed-up, general terms we just talked about. I actually love to think of anomia as your brain's word GPS temporarily recalculating. You know exactly the concept you want to convey, but it's like Walter White calculating the exact coordinates in Breaking Bad, only for the GPS to confidently send him to the completely wrong desert. Or like Ted from How I Met Your Mother telling a long story but totally forgetting the main point. It is definitely not a lack of intelligence, it's simply a routing error in the language center of the brain. But you know what? The human brain is amazingly resilient. Speakers develop incredibly clever strategies to bypass that confused GPS. Instead of hitting a brick wall, they just pivot. To overcome a word block, they start describing the objects themselves or talking specifically about their purpose. Let's see how a speaker brilliantly describes an object's purpose instead of using its exact name. So if the target word is ashtray, but the internal GPS just can't locate it, they might seamlessly substitute it with a workaround like the thing to put cigarettes in. The communication is still completely successful. They just had to take a slightly more scenic, descriptive route to get there. Let's look at another fascinating real-world example we'll call the kite puzzle. A speaker was looking at a picture of a kite but couldn't quite retrieve the specific word for it. Watch how they start circling the missing word, using a whole range of creative clues to pin it down. Watch how they creatively circle the target word, basically acting like a detective for their own thoughts. First they say, there's 4 letters in it, and I think it begins with a C. Okay, so the GPS is close, but slightly off. Then they pivot to the action, goes right up in the air. Finally, the usage, you pull it round. It's a wonderful, real-time display of the brain problem-solving and trying to bridge that gap. All right, before we wrap up this explainer, let's do a fast mini quiz to see what stuck with you. Let's test your own memory retrieval. Drop your answers in the comments as we go. Question 1. What is the other common name for Wernicke's aphasia that highlights the brain's struggle to receive information? Moving right along to question 2. What is the specific medical term for our word GPS getting confused? The difficulty in finding the correct word. And your final question, testing your memory of those brilliant communication workarounds. What was the exact target word the speaker was looking for when they said, the thing to put cigarettes in?
So, how did you do? Share your score in the comments below. I really hope this explainer helped you understand this complex but deeply human condition a little bit better. Understanding Wernicke's aphasia really highlights the incredible adaptability of the human brain, but it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. If our entire reality is built on language, how does our world change when the words remain, but the meaning completely disappears? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.